Zima Blue tells us the story of ourselves. This is my most popular video, by far, and it currently has 70,000 views and almost 2,000 likes. Woo! I feel like YouTubers always say this, but I didn't expect this video to get as much traction as it did. It's a good video, don't get me wrong, but coming back to it now after 2 years, I have some notes. I want to start off with the notes because I think it's important to look back at what you did and acknowledge the things that worked and that didn't. To start, I think in this video I spent way too much time just retelling what happened. I practically summarized the whole episode, but no, I didn't summarize it well enough. I pretty much just said exactly what happened to the point where you could have just watched my video and not the original video, which I don't like that. I want my essays to be about the ideas that I took away from it rather than me just saying, here's the whole thing that happened and then my ideas. I don't know, it just feels too much like stealing. Is the best way to put it, I guess. This note's not necessarily a bad one, it's more of a neutral one, but I feel like it was quite dramatic, the way that I was talking about a lot of things. I used a timpani drum a lot to emphasize that drama. But it was a very deep topic. When I watch content that has ideas that are bigger than the content itself, and I talk about it, I tend to get rather serious, and I get really melodramatic about it. It's just what happens. So yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and I think that resonated with some people. I know there was a comment that said they really liked my voice, so it's not a bad thing, but just something I, going back to, I was like, whoa, okay, settle down, cowboy.
The audience watches in shock and confusion, but the reporter, her expression.
My last note about it was that there was a lot of swearing.
Fucking shit.
I'm not someone who thinks that swearing's a bad thing. I just think that I could have used better vocabulary to express just how passionate I was about this video. Yeah, I haven't got too much to say about that besides wash your mouth, silly. I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about what you had to say because you guys had some really interesting opinions and your own takes that I didn't think of when I wrote the script for that video. And I definitely think they're worth highlighting. So here's a couple of them. I'm not going to go through... Emo, are you... Mute. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just want to go through a couple of them. I'm not going to go through all of them. Okay, here we go. I get it. Certain people get a rise from devolving. Don't be one of those. This sort of theme pops up a lot. People really don't like the idea of regressing in your nature to your core essence. They're coming from this point of it being like a lobotomy, like ripping away all your emotions for the sake of pure, simplistic satisfaction in life. And I definitely get where you're coming from, but I also think it comes from a place of pride. I don't know how else to say it besides the human spirit. I think there's definitely things to be learnt and appreciated when it comes to living simply and not being concerned about the more complicated aspects of the human experience. I definitely think it's okay to want to live at a pure fundamental level and to strip away a lot of those earthly tethers or whatever you want to call it. Having intelligence inherently makes us judge those who choose to disregard that intelligence. Which, again, depending on the context, totally fair. If you're someone who's high in politics and you're like, I don't want to use my brain, well then, we got a problem, officer. Call the police. I can't judge Zima Blue for wanting to go back to pool cleaner and return to monkey. It feels privileged to judge that. I don't know if my idea is getting across there. Anyway, let's move on. Georgie Rodriguez quoted, I believe it's the Bible. I'm really sorry if it's not the Bible. But he said, "For much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief." And that's absolutely a big big theme of this video. I think it's really interesting, especially as beings who thrive off of knowledge, who thrive off of knowing so that they can better survive and live in this world. The idea of rejecting that premise, I find it's a really interesting concept. That's a big part of what I was so passionate about with this video. I should refer to it as episode, so you know I'm not talking about the YouTube video. I'll call it episode. Stars802 says, "So he is a robot that can't satisfy his natural instinct of his first ever task anymore, and in search for the very one thing So he is a robot that can't satisfy his natural instinct of his first ever task anymore, and in search for the very one thing that can satisfy it, he learnt that his blue is his anywhere. So in his mind, the understanding of what beauty is gets consumed by the memory or idea of that color, so the blue in his paintings get larger and larger. Did I get that right? I don't know. Did you get that right? I can't answer that. What was the question? At the end of the day, we just pursue what we were designed to pursue. I think it's tricky comparing humans to Zima, and that's part of the whole fun of this episode, but we aren't designed to pursue anything. I guess you can say that we are designed to survive. This is a very interesting idea to talk about. I think we are the ones that end up creating that design. For instance, I'm a musician. I grew up playing music for a long time, and I still do music. I've tried to stop doing music, but I always find myself coming back to it. The reason why I tried to stop is because I wanted to explore different avenues. But even with this channel, I know that I want to incorporate my music into my essays somehow. I know that that's something that I want to do. I can't remove myself from music because I grew up with it, but that was still ultimately my choice. We pursue what we were designed to pursue, but it's still up to you as to what your design is. Still, cool stuff. A. Smith says, "I believe that the whole point of this piece is to show the futile efforts people go through to seek satisfaction. Even upon achieving his life's goal, understanding the meaning of life, Zima still has nothing. He realizes that it is pointless and his life is better spent subconsciously cleaning a pool than doing anything else, as this is what he was made to do." I feel that there's more people who had a relatively negative takeaway from this than I would have expected. Yes, we go through life trying to aim for what satisfies us and what makes us happy, but to call those efforts futile, I just disagree with that. I don't want to talk about it for too much because I actually have a whole video talking about this concept, which I call meaningless meaning. Which is in one of my newest essays. Please go check it out. It's probably my magnum opus at this point in my life. It's my favorite video I've made. And yeah, it talks a lot about this idea of deciding what is meaningful and what is meaningless and how you make that choice. And I talk about it in the frame of Carol and the End of the World, which is a great Netflix series. Zima was trying to find his purpose, and he was obsessed with this idea of purpose. His efforts weren't futile because he ended up getting where he wanted to be. Yes, where he wanted to be ended up meaning removing his intelligence and basically taking away almost all of him to come back to this core functionality. But it's not a bad thing because he's a robot. I don't think I'm doing a very good job expressing my feelings about this. Check out my video. It does a much better job. Baby Gorilla says, His story rings very true to Zen and Tao appreciators. Seeking constant fulfillment brought nothing but confusion to Zima, but by shedding his higher intelligence, letting go of thought and desire, and returning to simplicity, he became whole. He is Zima Blue, and the only way for him to truly live his life fully was to return to his nature, a pool cleaning robot. I do really love that there's a lot of religious connotations to this episode, and a lot of that influence I can see in the comments. A lot of people talking about, like, there's a lot of references to certain religions and people's beliefs, and I think that's something that's so awesome about content like this, is that we can explore our cultures together. It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative space for that. What he wanted was always there. Seeing Zima Blue in front of his eyes was always there. The more unnecessary functionality he had made that core idea get cloudier. He went from this root desire and this root fulfillment, and it was blended up in a web of confusing mess, which is consciousness for humans pretty much. And he spent his time magnifying his intent all the way back down to that core, and he went, I don't need all this other shit. I just want the Zima Blue. And he cut it all out. Which is totally something you can compare to enlightenment. Stripping away your earthly tethers and your earthly desires, and going back to what makes you, you. Just a being. I think, yeah, totally comparable to many religions and many beliefs. I'm opposed to the idea that what Zima Blue did to himself was good or a win in most aspects. The whole return to monkey simplicity arguments is completely fair, but I don't think that is what Zima Blue did to himself. Zima Blue basically lobotomized himself because he cannot grow past his origins any further, which I find really sad. He has a stunning capability to act on the world around him, painting massive murals and presumably immortal plus immensely wealthy. But he can't do anything to act on himself. He is mentally still fixated on his original purpose of cleaning the pool. His hidden obsession and inability to forego his purpose strangles all fulfillment out of his life. Being a galactically renowned artist, a marvelously crafted being, and even all works provide no fulfillment to him because of his failure to truly grow past his origins. No social relations either, because he only gains fulfillment from pool cleaning. It is sad to see someone do something incredible only to feel empty, as it is not their true purpose. If he could let go of his origins, he could find fulfillment in anything he chooses. Instead, he essentially self-lobotomizes himself because he can't escape his past and find the fulfillment he seeks that is all around him. The story isn't like a Roman emperor retiring to a cabbage farm. It is like an alcoholic subduing their mind because they fail to cope with the complexity of life. Whoa. That's a great comment. That is such an awesome insight. Also, universal truth is kind of mumbo jumbo, like all truths are the same. There isn't one supreme extra true truth. You can value truths differently yourself, but otherwise they are all the same. Bam! Ding, ding, ding! You win the gold buzzer! The burger! Woo! You're right. I totally agree. He had all these amazing achievements and he did all these incredible things, but would he have ever done them if he didn't have his core desire motivating them? Without Zima Blue, without his core goals, he would never have made these huge murals. He would never have become so successful as an individual if he didn't have that root goal. I think it is sad that he can't grow past his origins, but I also think his origins shape himself and shape the achievements that he's made. His origins shape himself and the achievements that he has made because his origins are what drive him to make those achievements. And that is an aspect of this that is absolutely relatable as a human being. We don't have a one true Zima Blue moment, but we do have a collection of experiences that we've grown up and learnt from that absolutely shape what we do today and absolutely almost decide who we are. Our core of who we are can be used, no matter if it's good or if it's bad, can be used for the better. The choices of yesterday absolutely do inform the choices of today. I'm not really sure where I was going with this rant, but I love this comment. It is sad that when he had these amazing achievements, and he was an incredible person, and he still felt empty on the inside, doesn't mean that the things he did along the way are therefore meaningless because he didn't appreciate what he's done. Those pieces of art that he made, and like the blue halo across the earth and that, in that world, those would be influencing artists and thousands and billions of people for generations to come. That is something that the world will never forget. So that's a gift from him because of his journey. So yeah, I have no idea where I was going with that. Great comment. And again, endless amounts of shit to talk about. Endless amounts. And I'm not going to be able to summarize all of this into a beautiful point, which is ironic considering the theme of this about fundamental truths. But yes, I just want to finish off by saying I totally agree with you saying that there isn't one supreme true truth. They are all just facts. They are all just truths that do exist. And it is up to the individual to decide which ones resonate with them the most, and how they act upon that is entirely up to them. That is the privilege of being alive. Beautiful comment. Beautiful comment. Anyway, this has ended up being a really long-winded rant about a bunch of random things, and I'm completely lost as to where I've ended up now. But can I just say, thank you so much for enjoying that video. It really does mean the world to me, and it's something I am going to be trying actively to recreate the feeling of in new essays and new content. I'm just trying to figure out how to go about that. Like I said, I'm trying to incorporate music in it because that just feels like me, my Zima Blue. I want to do things that really feel like my own. If you have anything to say about what I've said today, absolutely leave your take in the comments below. I will most likely respond, but at the same time, this is also me sort of putting Zima Blue to rest for my sake, being like, okay, I've looked at all your comments, I've said my pieces about some of the big ones you guys have said. I'm sure there'll be more perspectives that will come in, but this is me going, cool, I can move on now. Because I was no way going to leave all of those wonderful comments where they were and just ignore them. But now I might. Because I gotta move on. I'm sorry. I hope you have a good week, month, year, and I will see you in the next video. I'm Markiplier now. Bye-bye! No, don't want to end it like that. You've already put up the... It's already there, isn't it? How long has this been the outro for? I never know how to do outros. I never know. It's really fucking annoying. Am I done now?